everyone. How's it going? Are you enjoying Devcon? Great. So let's get into it. This is a quick presentation, so we better go quick. Let's start by the agenda. We're going to cover 3 topics today. The number 1 is a quick refresher on Web 2 cryptography, because this is important for what we're going to talk about. Number 2, the Mexican case for digital signatures. I'm Mexican, so I want to share more a bit about this specific use case. And number 3, what is the status of this very similar use case around the world in other countries? Let's get into it. And let's start with this refresher on Web 2 cryptography. For understanding this, we're going to explore public key infrastructure. Who's familiar with this topic? Okay, I see some hands. Perfect. Let's go into it. So basically, public key infrastructure works by having a certification authority, right? This certification authority can certify that a certain private key, either for encryption or signature, is belonging to someone, right? For example, we can use this to issue a certificate for a website. If you have seen the green log before, that is basically what it's doing. It can also enable machines and, of course, individuals. But what is interesting is that we can also enable more certification authorities, which at the same time can enable more certificates for, again, websites, machines, and individuals. All right. So the most common use case of this is basically using the certificate for encrypting the communication for a website. If you are putting a password on certain website, this is probably encrypted by using one of these certificates. All right, now that this is clear, let's get into some particular use case using government certified credentials, because most countries already use some sort of regulation for certifying private keys for digital signatures. So what can we do about this, and how can we use it to onboard 22 million people? Let's take a look. For those who don't know, basically there is a model law published by the United Nations in 2001. This is for electronic commerce, and if you have ever used your credit card on a certain website, it's basically according to these regulations. In this one, it is specified that governments should issue a certificate for a private key for individuals. So in reality, even before Bitcoin was invented, some governments were already trying to onboard people to use crypto for digital commerce, all right? So the important thing is that the talk is called How to Onboard 22 Million People, but in reality, on these couple of months before I submitted a presentation until today, there has been around 3 million more people certified by the Mexican government to use a private key. And these certificates are tracked by some public data that you can also find. I don't have the source here, but I can definitely share it with you. So as you can see, there are 24 million people, like individual people, and around 2 million businesses who already have a private key that is certified by the government and already has KYC, so we don't have to ask them for a passport or a digital ID or something like that. They literally have a private key we can use and put into an account, like using account abstraction, and onboard people immediately to that. So the way this works is, in Mexico at least, the Bank of Mexico, which is the main authority, certifies the taxes authorities, right? By having this structure of intermediary certification authorities, more private organizations can issue digital signatures for individuals. Like this, literally all my family and even my aunt understand how to manage this private key. So these people already understood how to do basic private key management, revocation, and these kind of things, like recovery, as we all do. All right, so this is the interface to generate your private key. As you can see, this is pretty familiar. This is basically telling you to move the mouse. Who's familiar with that? To create entropy, right? This is run locally, so that means that the account is completely self-sovereign, even that the government is certifying it. Because you only share the public key. You have your private key for your own, and you can use this for any legal purpose in Mexico, at least. So just a quick meme. Not everyone is really happy with that, because there are some privacy issues related to this. But we're definitely getting there. At the end of the day, people is already certifying their own private keys, sharing their passport or some other way of identity. So what's the status for this around the world? All of these countries have some way of public key infrastructure that can be already used for enabling people to use crypto and crypto services. Most of this is already regulated, so if you were looking for regulation, there it is, guys. Some other cases, like for example, if you're from Spain, in Spain you have this small ID with a little chip on that. That chip includes another private key, And the only issue with this is that these are RSA keys, which is not recommended anymore but by the NSA on the following years. But we can definitely change that, right? So instead of this, we have been scanning some of these codes and making a CK proof and adding some trust assumption to the process. So my call to action for you guys is just use the cryptography. It's already there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this interesting talk.
Yeah, any question?
Do you have any question? Okay. Try it.
Yeah. Great.
So whenever you generate a private key and you use, entropy, and then like a developer, you are trying to secure these SSH keys, how does it work from the consumer's endpoint in the Mexican case? How do you store and secure those private keys?
You store them locally. Usually, if you go to the office, they ask you to have a USB, which is obviously not the best case. But the problem is that I think nobody has brought these questions up, right? So the more we ask questions about it, the better we get. Right now, it's just an USB.
So if you happen to lose your USB, you have to do the process again?
Okay.
Yeah, but you can do it online. You just need to basically tell the authority to revoke the certificate. There is a Merkle tree who has all of the public keys enabled or disabled. So you just put it on a revocation list, generate another one, certify it again, you're good to go.
Next question is over there.
Yeah. There is a security issue in ERC-20 standard, which was classified as the lack of transaction handling. This issue caused $150 million losses since 2017. In 2023, the author of ERC-20 standard, the Fabian Vogelsteller, confirmed that ERC-20 lack of transaction handling is a security issue. This was reported to OpenZeppelin 3 times, but you didn't apply any fixes to your implementation of ERC-20 token. Why? Why is this issue not documented in your GitHub repository and causing financial damage to your users?
Okay, I think there is an issue for that. It's open, so everyone is pretty welcome to contribute. I think there is not much contribution on that, so that would be my answer. Thanks.
Okay, any more questions? One over there.
Hey, what would you say is the main impact of the adoption of private keys for everyone in Mexico? I mean, not everyone, but so many people.
Yeah, I guess the main impact is for tax purposes. That's what it's used for, and that's why people don't really like them, right? But basically, you can use it for legal documents, and there is some regulation that specifies how to transfer digital assets. I mean, it's not called digital assets exactly. There is some sort of legal framework, but basically, you can put real-world assets fully compliantly using these keys.